Hi, how you going? Gary here, Restore Solutions. Well, we have, this session is called The Moneymakers. So, this is all about instruments. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about what I feel about instruments. A lot of the times I talk to restorers, day in, day, every day, they call me and they say they want to dry better. Or they say, why would I need this drying when I'm already drying good now? So I can gauge a restorer simply by them telling me how they check moisture or what instruments they own. That can gauge that restorer for me. So here's a little thing. This is why we call it the moneymaker. The more moisture I can find, or the more justification tools I have, the more I can justify my drying. And if I can justify my drying, I can make more money. So go out there and buy the crappiest moisture meter you can buy and find no moisture. That's going to make you money. Not. What's going to make you money is buying a professional moisture meter kit where you can start finding more moisture than your competitor. So what we're going to do in this session is going to run through all the instruments and how they work and how they can benefit you and your business. Okay, we're going to start with infrared. So we've got a range of infrared cameras. This is our Trotec. So, it's a very good camera. I mean, you can see me in the camera, but it's a very good camera where you can start to see your wall frames and you can start to see colder spots. A lot of the times, guys will go to drying jobs and they'll see what visually is wet and they'll go around it, but they won't see, oh, hang on, it's come from there and it's run down the ceiling and it's run down the corners, it's run an area where they may not have seen. This is going to pick up the colder spots. There's good infrared cameras out there and there's really good infrared cameras out there. Some of the cheaper ones, people see a little bit of a picture, but they miss a lot of the fine detailed stuff. So a really good camera, Trotec cameras are very, very good in the aspect of they've got a really high image. Okay, so let's talk about some of our kits. So this is our T3000 kit. We've got three options on the T3000 kit. Okay, we have the starter kit, the restorers kit, and the expert kit. And I'm going to run through each of them for you. I'll start with the expert kit and tell you what you get. So the T3000 actual meter itself, it's a fantastic meter. They just put this little bit of a protective cover on here, and you rip that off when you want to start, and then you rip it off now if we want. And then they give you actually a protective cover that actually comes with it to put on there. So this is our rubberized cover, and our rubberized cover helps to protect the meter, if you've ever accidentally dropped it or so forth. So this particular meter has everything in it. So you can actually add all your attachments. So this is the brain. Sometimes you can buy a meter like this one, which is a dielectric ball meter, but this one, the T3000, has an attachment to make it the same meter. So having it all in one, you've just got one brain. And you've got various different modes. You've got the measurement mode, you've got wood moisture, building moisture, it's got an anemometer built into it, your humidity, it does temperature, surface temperature, and it also does gas leakage, which we don't usually use in this country. And you can graph the jobs, it's got software that comes with it. It's very easy to use. You can do minimum, maximum, average on every reading you're doing. You can do job by job basis. It's the brain of your operation. So this particular meter, let's look at all the attachments you go with it. So on the pin side, first off, we get a hammer probe, a slide hammer probe. And the hammer probe comes with 10 insulated pins. And the insulated pins are going to be used for your timber. Now, the beauty about this particular meter has temperature settings for timber. A lot of meters out there do not. So when you go to a job, and let's say on the day one you're drying some timber floor and it's your hammer probe in, it's reading 18%. So 18% it's reading. And then you go, oh, okay, it's wet, and you set up your drying gear and you might have heat drying equipment set up. And it was 22 degrees on day one. And then you come in on day 3 and you hammer probe in, it's reading 15%. You say, oh wow, dropped 3%. But the timber's 42 degrees now. So at 42 degrees, 15%, it's pretty similar to 18% at 22 degrees. So people aren't really checking their temperature first before they take a reading on timber, and that's very, very important. Have to take your surface temperature first. So when you do take your surface temperature, this is a great way of taking your surface temperature. This particular is a surface temperature sensor, which you actually put it on the surface, okay, to get a reading. Obviously, the cable goes back to your meter, and you've even got a little bit of goo that it comes with, where if you don't have a flat surface, okay, you need a really flat surface, and this goo here will help get that conductivity and give that a really flat that flat surface there. Okay. Next, we have a really good in-depth hygrometer. Now, the in-depth hygrometer, you can start to drill into block work, or you know, if you drill into block work, you put a bit of tape on there and leave it for 24 hours, then slot this in there and get a humidity reading inside the block work or brickwork, or you can actually, you know, just for in the air to check your dehumidifiers. So it's a very good in-depth hygrometer. Stainless, very good. Then we've got our dielectric ball meter. Now, a dielectric ball meter, this will go down 40 mil into concrete. It'll do through 2 layers of tiles. It'll do grout, it'll do screeds, it'll do building materials, it'll do brickwork, it'll do timber floor. It pretty much does everything non-invasive, okay? And it's very deep penetration into the surfaces. You've also got a microwave attachment. So this microwave meter will go down 30 centimeters into concrete. So this will enable you to do a lot of commercial slabs. It needs to be 20 centimeters deep, maximum 30 centimeters. It'll go down, but it needs to be a minimum of 20 centimeters and the same product. You can't have tiles, then a compound, and then concrete. No, it needs to be one substrate. Okay. Now, also on the pin side of things, you've got insulated rods. So your insulated rods, you connect your cable up here to the top, and then you've got, you know, if you want to check timber floor underneath kitchen, you can go and do the bottom shelf and drill a 28 mil hole and put that through, obviously with the second one, and actually get drilled down there and tap them in and get a reading into your floor. You can go into cavities and so forth and get readings. So these are very good insulated prongs. You've also got non-insulated prongs. These are an add-on to the actual expert kit. So these are non-insulated. So it picks it up all the way through the reading. These are stainless. And then you also can add on the extra long. Okay, these are 60 centimeters. And the beauty about these is you can undo them, and they can undo, and you can break them down to put them in your truck or to put them in your kit. So everything breaks down. So that's the beauty of it, right? And you can store it quite well. So also what we do have is a handheld pin probe. And what we do with the handheld pin probe, you can screw on this attachment with one of your prongs here that this handle unscrews. Show you. So then you can screw on here, and then you can have 2 actual long prongs that you can put into ceilings and so forth. So you can make your handheld pin probe with extra long rods. You have also uninsulated pins that you get, that you can check your carpet or surfaces or your materials, your gyprock or any surfaces and materials. Now you've also got brush pins. Now what are these brush pins for? These are very unique. No other kit has all of these options. Someone said to me the other day, oh, you know, I want to be able to check this blockwork wall. How do I check it? Okay, well you've got options. We can go 40 mil in this way. We can drill a hole and put the brush pins in and get a conductivity on the brush itself. We can put an insulated rod in there, or we can put an in-depth hygrometer in there. So you've got so many options. People go, oh, I just got a couple of pads on me sensitive moisture meter, I just touch the wall and I go in 10 mil and that's good enough. So that's what I talk about in the Moneymaker. I have all of these options. So if I was a restorer and I'm in your neighbourhood, you don't want me following you. Because if I followed you with all of this equipment, I'm going to find what you didn't find, and it's not going to look good. So at the end of the day, you've got to have the equipment to find the moisture. Because this is your boss. What does your boss look like? Do you have a crappy boss? Is your boss just give you poor instructions? Well, the better the boss that you have, the better that you can do your job. You also got insulated paddles. Okay, these insulated paddles are good to document drying behind skirting, under base plates. So obviously it only picks up the moisture from the tip, from the stainless tip. We might have a few questions.
Okay, we've got a question here about the hammer probe. When you're hammer probing into the centre of timber, do you still need to check the surface temp? And will this affect the reading considering you're taking a surface temp, not an internal?
Yes. Okay. So yes, you really need surface temperature is the best way. Obviously, you've got a couple of different ways. The most accurate way, guys will tend to try to go to use a gun. These are okay, but obviously this is going to be a close-up. To get a internal temperature, you're not going to really. It's very hard to do that because there's no instrument out there that's going to be able to drill in and get a certain in-depth temperature unless you're going to put that inside a hole. So if you're going to be putting pins in there, you really have to take your surface temperature and presuming most of the board is the same temperature. You might get a little bit of cooling on the surface compared to underneath, but most of the board is the same temperature. So taking a surface temperature of the timber beforehand is 100% needed. And what I like to do is when I am hammer probing into the timber, if my boards are running this way, I want to run my pins along the grains, okay? So I don't want them across the grain, I want them to run them along the grain, and I want to hammer probe in. And what I want to do is I want to hammer probe all the way down go through the 19mm board into the whatever it's in, a ply or yellow tongue, wherever it's fixed to, right? And let's say I'm going 19, 28, and then I stop. Once I get to about 28, I know I've hit something that's got more silicon fillers in it, like ply or your particle board or so forth. Then I want a backward hammer. And I get to 19, I go, maybe that's the bottom of my board. And then I want a backward hammer again, I go 17 might be the middle of my board, and 15 might be the top of my board. Then I've got top, middle, bottom, and subfloor. Hope that answers your question. Any more questions? Okay. So, the difference between that expert's kit and our restorer's kit is only one change. The one change is you don't get the microwave meter. And then the next step down is our starter's kit. So it's a little bit different because what we don't have is we don't have that in-depth hygrometer. We just have a normal plastic hygrometer to check your air. So we don't want to be putting this inside cavities, especially concrete. So because it's only plastic, so that we have a hygrometer. And we don't have the brush pins, and we don't have the temperature sensor. So that steps down to our starter's kit. So there's our options on those kits and optional add-ons. So the beauty about all our meters too is we can actually calibrate them actually on the meter. You've got plus or minus you can do on the meter. So you can go through and check all the pin meter with this calibration block. And then you've got for your hygrometer. You've got your little amplitudes here, which are either 80% relative humidity, 50% relative humidity, or 35% relative humidity. And you put your amplitude in and you put your hygrometer in to see if it's calibrated. So you can actually check your own calibration on your own meter, and then you can adjust your meter accordingly, instead of sending it away for expensive calibration. So moving down, let's talk about that microwave meter. So each meter that we have is either an attachment for the T3000 or it's a separate meter itself. So this separate meter here will go down 30 centimeters into concrete. Exactly the same. Instead of being as an attachment to the T3000, it's a separate meter. So you don't really want to be putting that in the hands of a new person. That's a bit more of an expert's tool. So moving down. We'll just talk about this kit here. This is our 3-in-1 kit. This is very popular with technicians. Very, very popular. So this is a very simple to use kit. So the T3000 gets to become the owner operator, or the manager, or the project manager, or the supervisor, the operations manager. So this particular kit has the dielectric bore meter, and this dielectric bore meter can certainly go into same surfaces before. It goes down 40 mil. It does concrete. It does grouts and screeds. It's very easy to use. It's got a big screen, very easy to use. Right. I've got one here that's already batteried up. I'll show you the screen, how easy it is to look. So what it does, it self-calibrates every time you turn it on. Same with the T3000. So it's ready to go, self-calibrated. So I've got different menu settings there, and that's going to get me a digit reading straight away. So all it is it's our digits out of 200. It's also got a calcium chloride equivalent for concrete, and a volume mass setting for concrete as well as a screed and grout setting as well. So it's got multiple functions, this meter. It's very, very good. Easy to use. Big screen. So with that particular meter that you get in the kit, then you also get a pin meter. So this has obviously got 2 cables that come out of it. It connects up to your hammer probe, and it also connects up to your handheld pin probe. And this has got our temperature settings of our timber, our different types of timber. Same with our T3000, has all your different types of timber that you can actually set in there. So you can preset your surface temperature first before you take a reading. And then you've got your hygrometer. Now, the beauty about this kit, they say, why does the technicians like this kit? Well, someone can be over here checking walls, and someone can be over here, and this can be over in your dehumidifier checking to see whether your dehumidifier is actually working, where you've got any grain depression. And, you might have someone over there hammer probing into the areas. So you can have 3 technicians using this kit at one time. Okay, also we have a temperature gun as well to check our surface temperatures, our materials. So each one of those meters are a separate meter. We also have a laser hygrometer, which can give you surface temperatures as well. So this is an add-on feature. We have a couple of questions. Let's go to those questions.
Okay, we've got 2 parts to start with. So we're talking about concrete moisture readings here. So does the temperature have an effect? And then that microwave meter, does it pick up soil under the concrete slab?
Yeah, the microwave meter, if it's not 20 centimeters deep, yes. So it's not going to work. Has to be more than 20 centimeters deep for the microwave meter to work. And the other question, temperature on concrete does play a part when you're doing a hygrometer reading. Not so much when you're using the dielectric or the ball attachment or the ball meter. Okay, so where you would check this is you want to be checking this under carpet. So when you extract the carpet and you dry the carpet and you want to check the concrete, then we go around. So a lot of the times, here's some of the questions that I say to guys. I say, how do you check concrete under carpet? They go, oh, I just put a scan meter on it. So what's the scan meter you do with? Oh, just the back of my meter. Or I use 2 pins. So you're checking it with a wood meter? They go, yeah. So repeat after me. I like to check concrete with a timber meter. They go, I like to check concrete with a timber meter. Does that sound right? They go, no. Why don't you check concrete with a concrete meter? That's how hard this industry is. So we check it with a concrete meter that has proper concrete settings on it. Another thing I ask them is, I say, how do you check a pine frame wall? They go, well, I scan it and I check it. I check a pine frame wall. I either check it like this. Okay, you can check it like that, and you can see, oh yeah, it might have an elevated reading. But how do you check the frame? I don't. So what you're trying to tell me is you make money drying, but you don't check stuff. Yeah. Okay, how's that going for you? And they go, oh, yeah, I see your point. Well, another little tip that I do is I'd get my handheld pin probe with obviously my 2 pins coming out. I press 2 little pinholes in the skirting, and I'll fire 2 Brada stainless steel nails, 50mm, through the skirting into the base plate of the frame. And then I'll touch my 2 stainless pins onto those 2 actual stainless nails and get a reading all the way through. So they go, oh, really? Now you can use a hammer probe with our insulated pins, but the problem is every time I go back, I have to make new holes. So I hammer probe in there, that's great. I come back 2 days later to check, I have to hammer probe next to it. I can't check those same holes, because those holes dry out faster and it's not a very accurate way of checking. You have to make new holes again. So that's why I like to put the stainless nails through, because then I just come back and check the same stainless nails. So that's how I check it. They go, oh, that means I have to buy a nail gun. Yeah, you have to buy a nail gun. Really good nail guns out there are Paslode or Milwaukee, which are ones that I recommend. But make sure you got to get the stainless nails. They are a special order. We have a couple more questions.
Well, just then, I'll go to the latest question. They want to know how to explain shooting nails into someone's skirting.
Well, there's a news fact for you. I don't know if you know this. That's how they were put on. They were actually put on with a nail gun, and they were put on. Yeah, no, the skirting was there, and if you watch a build, he goes bang, bang, bang. That's how he puts it on. So it's not like they're going to rust because they're stainless, and I'm just putting more nails in. So the problem is with that is, why would you put holes in through the skirting? That's worse. So now I've got 2 holes. So at the end of the day, you can put a little bit of the builded putty on the end and repaint, or sometimes you can get away with just putting that on there and it'll be okay. Or sometimes you just get away with putting a little bit of paint on that. So people go, well, I'll have to take the skirting off. Well, that's even worse, because if you take the skirting off, sometimes you go to cut it. I mean, it's MDF, it's got to come off. But sometimes you go to cut it and pull it off, and you pull a little bit of paint off the wall. Now you've got to repaint the whole wall. So the less repair you have to do, the better. Because I look at the total claim cost, not just the drying cost. I look at the total claim cost. You might go in, oh, well, I've dried it $500 cheaper than you. Yeah, but there's $5,000 worth of building repair after you've done it, and there's 0 building repair after I've done it.
I've got a question here, I'm not sure. How do you change the calibration on a Trotec meters to negative? Does that make sense to you?
Well, you've got a you've got a plus and minus you can add. If it's out of calibration, you've got a plus and minus you can add. So you've got to go through in the calibration section and either add or minus to get it to back to 0, or back to whatever reading it's supposed to be. You know, if the reading's supposed to be, 19% on here, at the end of the day, you've got to get it to 19%. So if it's reading 20%, you've got to minus it to get it to read 19%, and you're calibrating it.
The ball meter, the next question's in relation to.
Mm-hmm.
So how deep does it go? It goes 40mm deep. How wide does it go? The width of the ball, or
Not so much. It's pretty. Maybe a 50% piece size is all that's going to go down. It's not going to be spread. Where the microwave meter spreads out and reflects back. Not so much. So sometimes guys will tell me, well, I've got an elevating reading here on the concrete, an elevating reading here. The beauty about both either T3000 or the T660 is I've got minimum, maximum, average. So I can go through and take 10 readings of the concrete and go, what was my average? The average was this. I could have hit a Rio bar. I could have hit a bit of metal. That maybe I should. I could have been close, and make sure that you're not close to the cable that's connected with it too, because that'll elevate the reading. So at the end of the day, I might have hit it. So you can start to guide your area. Some people want this to be black and white, and sometimes it's not. Any more questions? We good? Okay. Now, what are these things? What the hell's going on here? What are these things? Well, these are brand new to the country, moisture meters from Trotec. Now, this meter is a ball meter, and it has the concrete setting as well, and it has the calcium the calcium chloride concrete setting, as well as a volume mass setting, as well as you know, the scan dielectric checking of building materials as well. Beauty about this is that is the meter. Where do I see the readings? Where do I see the readings? Well, you see the readings on your mobile phone. That's where you see the readings. So this Bluetooth back to your mobile phone, it graphs the job. You can put in the customer's details. You can email it through to yourself. It's fantastic how this works. So this is the ball part of it. What else do I have? Well, I have a pin meter. Okay. It's only basic. There's no hammer probe attachment, no long probe. So these are not going to replace all your meters, but these are a great quick test if you want to go out and check jobs. Then you've got a laser, a multi-laser gun, just like the laser gun here. What else do we have? We have a hygrometer to check your temperature and your relative humidity. And we have an anemometer, an airflow meter, to check your airflow of your jobs. It does extend. So that's your airflow meter. Shut that up. There we go. So that is our new range of Trotec instruments there. So they are a wow factor because you want to see how it looks on your phone. So it's a free app. You just need to buy the attachment. And once you buy the attachment, you as long as you've got a mobile phone with you, you're right to go. We've also got distance meters. We've got little distance meters here. Look how this little baby, isn't it cute? And then we've got, this one does 30 meters max, and this one does 70 meters max. And you can add your rooms up, do your cubic meters, so forth. So it's very easy to use. We've got our individual meters. We've also got a little case if you want individual meters. Then we've got a couple of particle counters here. We'll move on to the particle counters. Now, the particle counters here, these are a great tool to start to justify, do I need an air scrubber in my drying job? Do I need to purify the air? We have ones that do gas as well as carbon monoxide. It does and formaldehyde as well as normal particle readings. So you can actually visually see instantly, are my particles elevated? So here's an example. Let's say you go to a job and you walk into the job and you're going to have a look at the job, and it smells a little bit, you know, like you're getting that musty smell, and you go, this doesn't smell like a clean water. This does not smell like clean water, right? So maybe I'll do a particle test. So you go to the unaffected area, you know, in the house, and hey, there's no smell in here, and you do the particle test, and you go down the affected area and you go, wow, there's really high particle counts in here. This doesn't smell like clean water. There might be something else here. Or there might be, hey, do I need to investigate further with my instruments to find maybe there's a leak somewhere, maybe there was previous mold damage. As well as that particle counter, you can certainly say, hey, I think we need to go one step further and do an air sample and then a tape sample and send that off to the lab. So that's a little bit about our particle counter and what we can do with that particle counter. So you've got the two options. You've got one with the gas and one just normal particles. And also here, this is our airflow. And then our airflow's got a big telescopic on it as well, where you can extend. I'll undo this really quickly. There you go. So then what you can do with this one is you can extend to start to do your airflow up into a cavity. So if I'm drying inside that light and I've got air going in there from, if I've got an injection system going up in there, I can put this up into there and find out how much airflow I'm actually getting up there. So a little bit more about our Trotec instruments. They are, the one thing I like about Trotec is the reliability factor. They're really, really great liability. We have very tiny problems with our meters. And they've, the good warranty about it is, if you ever have a problem with this, we just send you another one. That's the beauty about it. Within a 12-month period, it's new for old, we just send you another one. So that is the beauty part about it. And great part about this 3-in-1 kit like that is all of these meters are $400 and something. And the reason if the technicians broke it, smashed it, did something, lost it, it's not a very expensive thing to replace it. Rather than buying a big expensive meter that people get worried about. And a lot of the things I hear from owners, they go, I don't want to give this kit to my technician. I said, why is that? Well, he might lose it. And I go, I don't know if you know this, but I saw him drive away in your $40,000 van. I did. He drove away in it. Did he steal it? I said, you trust him with a $40,000 van, but you won't trust him with a $4,000 moisture meter kit. Or a $3,000 moisture meter kit, or a $2,000 moisture kit. Remember, the better the kit that you have, the more moisture they can find, the more money that you can make as a business owner. So let's open it up and we'll see if we've got any more questions. No more questions? Okay. So that's fantastic. So thanks very much for watching, guys. If you need any further information, we do have instructional videos on every single product on the website, both Trotec website and Restore Solutions website, and for you to watch if you have any technical issues on how to use the actual meter. But happy drying, and thanks very much for watching, and see you in the next session.